Dear students, greetings for the day. Today we will study fashion trends in fashion and changes, part 1. Objectives: to study the basic components of fashion, to learn about the fashion cycle, to study the factors influencing fashion trends, to understand the theories of fashion adaptation, to comprehend the impact of fashion trends on the society. Fashion, as a phenomenon, has existed and flourished since Roman times across a wide variety of conspicuously consumed products. The impact of fashion can be seen on all aspects of society and culture: clothing, painting, sculpture, music, drama, dancing, architecture, arts, and entertainment. Fashion is the style or styles most popular at a given time. Fashion often reflects the society and can be described as a popular style or practice, especially in clothing, footwear, accessories, makeup. Fashion is a distinctive and constant trend in the style in which a person dresses. The term fashion implies three components: style, change, and acceptance. A fashion trend is something new that is gaining popularity and wide acceptance. They indicate the direction in which fashion is moving. The lifespan of a trend is now about 5 months instead of a year due to the influence of the internet and television. Global trends are moving at an accelerating pace. Art, music, and popular culture influence fashion trend. Fashion trends are both aesthetic and expressive values that showcase our personal statement. Fashion trends are influenced by several different factors and incidents happening in our environment, including political, economical, social, and technological. Fashion forecasters can use this information to help determine growth or decline of a particular trend. The way in which fashion changes is described as a fashion cycle. The fashion cycle is depicted as a bell-shaped curve encompassing 5 stages: introduction, rise in popularity, peak of popularity, decline in popularity, and rejection. Introduction: fashion is the style or styles most popular at a given time. Fashion often reflects the society and can be described as a popular style or practice, especially in clothing, footwear, accessories, makeup. Fashion is a distinctive and constant trend in the style in which a person dresses. The term fashion implies three components: style, change, and acceptance. Style. Style is any particular characteristics or look in apparel or accessories. Designers interpret new ideas into new styles and offer them to the public. A style may come and go in fashion, but the specific style always remains that style, whether it is in fashion or not. Change. What makes fashion interesting is that it is always changing. The only constant in the fashion world is that consumers look for new fashions and desire change. Fashion changes because it reflects changes in people's lifestyles and current events, and people get bored with what they have. Acceptance. Acceptance implies that consumers must buy and wear a style to make it a fashion. Acceptance by the public does not prove that the design is necessarily beautiful, only that the timing is right and that it fills a need. Acceptance by a large number of people makes a fashion successful. The degree of acceptance also provides clues to fashion trends of the coming season. Fashion trends. A fashion trend is something new that is gaining popularity and wide acceptance. They indicate the direction in which fashion is moving. Fashion forecasters look for the styles they think are prophetic, ideas that capture the mood of the times and signal a new fashion trend. Several designers may use a similar fashion idea because they have been inspired by common sources. The trend may appear in a fabrication, a silhouette, or another design element that appears in several collections. Very often, a new trend appears in small doses until it spreads to other collections. As the press notices similarities between collections and highlights them, the media exposure also helps establish the trends. Empowered by the internet and television, global trends are moving at an accelerating pace. The lifespan of a trend is now about 5 months instead of a year. For the junior market, the span is only 3 months. Art, music, and popular culture influence fashion trend and how it penetrates into our everyday lives. High-end fashion is more creative, while high street fashion is more commercial. However, both high-end and high-street fashion reflect trends that are happening in our society as a whole. Fashion trends are both aesthetic and expressive values that showcase our personal statement. Fashion trends are influenced by several different factors and incidents happening in our environment, including political, economical, social, and technological. Fashion forecasters can use this information to help determine growth or decline of a particular trend. Political culture plays a critical role in fashion industry. Political change is reflection of today's fashion. Most of the political events and laws are affecting fashion in a way of creating fashion trend. Considering the relationship between fashion and politics, we can see how fashion is not only a matter of aesthetic but it involves politics as well. Fashion reflects current or historical events, therefore it associates with today and past as politics. For example, khadi was a major fashion during the pre- and post-independence era in India. Technology influences. Technology plays a large role in most aspects of today's society. Technological influences are growing more apparent in the fashion industry. Advances and new developments are shaping and creating current and future trends. Developments such as wearable technology has become an important trend in fashion and will continue with advances such as clothing constructed with solar panels that charge devices and smart fabrics that enhance wearer comfort by changing color or texture based on environmental changes. Internet technology such as online retailers and social media platforms have given way for trends to be identified, marketed and sold immediately. Styles and trends are easily conveyed online to attract the trendsetters. Posts on Instagram or Facebook can easily increase awareness about new trends in fashion, which can create high demand for specific items or brands. New buy now button technology can link these styles with direct sales. Social influences. Fashion trend goes beyond the aesthetic values. It emerges as an expressive tool for designers to deliver their message about the society. With the influence of social media, celebrities and bloggers, their voice are easily being heard and have impact on fashion and trend at any time. Carbon footprint, consciousness about the environment. Economical influences. As we undergo a global economic downturn, the spend now, think later belief is getting less relevant in our society. Today's consumer tends to be more mindful about consumption, looking for just enough and better, more durable options. People have also become more conscious of the impact their everyday consumption has on the environment and society. Fashion cycle. Consumers are exposed each season to a multitude of new styles created by designers. Some are rejected immediately by the press or by the buyer on the retail level, but others are accepted for a time, as demonstrated by consumers purchasing and wearing them. The way in which fashion changes is usually described as a fashion cycle. It is difficult to categorize or theorize about fashion without oversimplifying. Even so, the fashion cycle is usually depicted as a bell-shaped curve encompassing 5 stages: introduction, rise in popularity, peak of popularity, decline in popularity, and rejection. The cycle can reflect the acceptance of a single style from one designer or a general style such as the miniskirt. 1. Introduction of a style. Designers interpret their research and creative ideas into appeal or accessories and then offer the new styles to the public. Designers create new designs by changing elements such as line, shape, color, fabric, and details and their relationship to one another. New creations referred to as the latest fashions may not yet be accepted by anyone. At this first stage of the cycle, fashion implies only style and newness. Most new styles are introduced at a high price level. Designers who are globally respected for their talent may be given financial backing and be allowed to design with very few limitations on creativity, quality of raw materials, or amount of fine workmanship. Naturally, production costs are high, and only a few people can afford the resulting garments. Production in small quantities gives a designer more freedom, flexibility, and room for creativity. 2. Increase in popularity. If a new style is purchased, worn, and seen by many people, it may attract the attention of buyers, the press, and the public. In self-defense, most couture and high-priced designers now have secondary bridge and/or diffusion lines that sell at lower prices, so that they can sell their designs in greater quantities. The popularity of a style may further increase through copying and adaptation. Some designers or stylists may modify a popular style to suit the needs and price range of their own customers. Some manufacturers may copy it with less expensive fabric and less detail in order to all the style at lower prices. 3. Peak of popularity. When a fashion is at the height of its popularity, it may be in such demand that many manufacturers copy it or produce adaptations of it at many price levels. Some designers are flattered by copying and others are resentful. There is very fine line between adaptations and knockoffs. Volume production requires a likelihood of mass acceptance. Therefore, volume manufacturers carefully study sales trends because their customers want clothes that are in the mainstream of fashion. 4. decline in popularity. Eventually, so many copies are mass-produced that fashion-conscious people tire of the style and begin to look for something new. Consumers still wear garments in the style, but they are no longer willing to buy them at regular prices. Retail stores put such declining styles on sale racks, hoping to make room for new merchandise. Five. Rejection of a style or obsolescence. In the last phase of the fashion cycle, some consumers have already turned to new looks, thus beginning a new cycle. The rejection or discarding of a style just because it is out of fashion is called consumer obsolescence. As early as 1600, Shakespeare wrote that fashion wears out more apparel than the man. Length of cycles. Although all fashions follow the same cyclical pattern, there is no measurable timetable for a fashion cycle. Some fashions take a short time to peak in popularity, others take longer, some decline slowly, others swiftly. Some last a single selling season, others last several seasons. Certain fashions fade quickly, others never completely disappear. 1. Classics. Some styles never become completely obsolete, but instead remain more or less accepted for an extended period. A classic is characterized by simplicity of design, which keeps it from being easily dated. An example is the Chanel suit, which peaked in fashion in 1950s and enjoyed popularity again in the 1980s and in the late 1990s. In the interim, the House of Chanel in Paris, as well as other manufacturers, have produced variations of these suits for a small, dedicated clientele. Other examples of classics include blazer jackets, polo shirts, jeans, ballet flats, and loafers. 2. Fads. Short-lived fashions, or fads, can come and go in a single season. They lack the design strength to hold consumer attention for very long. Fads usually affect only a narrow consumer group, begin in lower price ranges, are relatively simple and inexpensive to copy, and therefore flood the market in a very short time. Because of market saturation, the public tires of them quickly and they die out. 3. Cycles within cycles. Design elements, such as color, texture, silhouette, or detail, may change even though the style itself remains popular. Jeans became a fashion item in the late 1960s and remained classics. Therefore, their fashion cycle was very long. However, various jean silhouettes, including bell and baggy, came and went during that time. 4. Interrupted cycles. Consumer buying is often halted prematurely because manufacturers and retailers no longer wish to risk producing or stocking merchandise that will soon decline in popularity. This is obvious to consumers who try to buy summer clothes in August. Sometimes the normal progress of a fashion cycle is interrupted or prolonged by social upheaval, economic depression, or war. Consider the large-shouldered, wedge-shaped silhouette in women's fashion which began in the 1930s. Because people were concerned with things more important than fashion during World War II, the same silhouette continued, without the normally expected decline, for the duration of the war. The new look of 1947 with its sloping shoulders, tiny waists and longer skirts was a radical change because the old cycle had been unnaturally prolonged. 5. Recurring cycles. After a fashion dies, it may resurface. Designers often borrow ideas from the past. When a style reappears years later, it is reinterpreted for a new time. A silhouette or proportion may recur, but it is interpreted with a change in fabric and detail. Nothing is ever exactly the same, yet nothing is totally new. It can be observed that over a period of time, designers have showed many nostalgic looks of the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, and even the 1980s. However, the use of different fabrics, colors, and details make the looks unique.